should be working. Hello, hello. Can you hear us out there? If you can hear us, please let us know in the chats. We're going to give you a little time to join in with us. Yes, yes, yes. If you can hear us, please let us know. Can you hear us out there?
Microphones, yeah, everything's up.
Yes, if you can hear us, please let us know. Hello, can you hear us? Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. We are excited. So, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you for being here. We are going to talk about should we pay tithes?
Should we pay tithes?
Should we pay tithes?
That's a pretty good
This
one.
was a fan request. So, we're going to talk about it today. But first, let's get ready. Let's go. Welcome to Juicy Talk with your host, Juicy. Live Thursdays, 8 p.m. Crucial conversations, special guests, love, relationships, and healing together. It's going to be juicy, y'all. Let's go. Yo, yo, yo. So, we're so grateful to be in the studio today.
Yes, we are.
How are you guys out there in Atlanta? Just give us a second while we go make sure that we are started on Facebook. Yes. So, Hardy,
yes.
While we're getting ready to get started, I want you to talk to people about what you got going on.
What I got coming up?
How are you guys out there?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh,
my bad.
That's okay. I have a major event coming up May 18th. It's a paint and sip. Address is 16480 Broadway Avenue in Maple Heights.
Yes.
We're going to have live music. I'll be DJing. We also have a professional artist. Started having a blank canvas. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. We're limited to about 40 people, though, because we're about 40.
So that means you got to get your tickets right away.
Yeah, tickets went on sale today.
Okay.
So I'm all ready. So if you want to get your tickets.
It's definitely like a nice Mother's Day. It's like a gift for your mom. You know, it's after Mother's Day, but it's still a good gift to give your mom on Mother's Day. So you can spend some quality time with your mom. Tell her, I know I'm going to take my mom and I'm going to take my sister and I'm going to take my niece.
Nice. Okay.
So I'm definitely going to be there. So I hope you guys let me know your age, your location, and your sex in the chat so we can talk to you. And we want to know who we talking to out there.
Yes.
So please put that in the chat if you may. Definitely. So we're just going to give a little time for some people to join in. And we got some definitely interesting things to talk about.
I know, right? How was your week?
My week was good.
Oh, yeah.
I had a good week. I had a very relaxing weekend. It was kind of chilly, so I stayed in. How about you? What you got going on this week?
I'm still a little nasally from this week, but it's okay. You know, hey, good. I'm not laid up.
Good?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
You're doing good. Okay. Yeah. So we're just gonna get right into the subject. But before I start, I want to just make sure I got people in the chat. Now, did you go on and did you share?
Yes, I did.
Did you share?
Absolutely.
I share. Okay. So what we are talking about today, and we're just gonna get straight into the topic, and I hope you can hear out there. Actually, we are doing it a little different today. Typically, I would have my mixer, but I gotta send my mixer back. I don't know what's going on with it. We think we got a short in there somewhere. So if you would like to come on and give your opinion about this topic, you still can, but we're gonna put the information in the chat so that you can come on. You don't have to actually get on camera if you want to get on. You can actually just put your information in the chat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send that out there to you guys. And that's if you want to come on. You don't have to show your face. You can just be on audio, and you can also leave comments in the chat.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So basically, what we're talking about today is, should you pay your tithes?
Mm.
And this was a fan request. One of our, beloved followers, right, wanted us to talk about this subject. So first, we're going to talk about what is tithes. Do y'all know what tithes are? If you know what tithes are, hey, hey, Charlotte. Hello, hello, hello. Please, in the chat, if you are viewing, I want you to put your age and your location, and if you're male or female in the chat, okay? So, one of the things that we're going to talk about, and like I said, this was a fan request. They wanted us to talk about tithes. So, tithes, we're going to talk about it. So, do you want to say anything before we get started? Because I'm going to go.
I know, but I don't tie like I should, though, to be honest with you. I don't. I just, whatever I had that day, I don't. If I have $10 or 20, I try to at least give $20 every time I go.
Okay.
So I'm not like quote unquote 10% type person.
So let me ask you, what do you feel about that when you give your $20 and you stand in line? What do you feel about that? Do you feel like you are robbing God? Like, what do you feel when you do that?
I don't know if I'm necessarily feel like I'm robbing God, because I do help people out. I do give that person, like if I see somebody at the store, I may give them, some money or $5 or some change, so I don't feel like I'm ever robbing God. Cause God is also always blessing me in some form or fashion. So I'm very grateful. So I do stuff out of the kindness of my heart anyway, because I'm just that type of person.
Okay.
So I don't ever feel like I'm cheating God.
Fair enough. Okay. So we are going to get into it. And let me just say.
Yeah, I wasn't finished though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I thought you were done.
That's okay. But I'm again, like I said, I'm a giving person in all cases. I'll help a stranger. If I see somebody stuck on the road, if I feel safe enough to help somebody, I will, because it's just my nature. I think it's just in me to help people. Okay. So I feel like I'm blessed in that kind of form of blessing other people.
So that's your form of paying a tithe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people, right? A lot of people may feel some way about this topic, but I wanted to go on and I wanted to share a lot of information. Now, one of the things when I decided to do this, right? I've heard a lot of people talk about tithes, right? And paying tithes. I heard people talk about how some of the questions that I've heard, like, should you pay tithes before your bills? Before you pay your bills? Have you heard that?
Yes, I have.
Should you pay tithes if you are not financially stable? Is it fair of a pastor or a preacher to ask for tithes or above and beyond or offering, like for their birthday, or even oppose a certain amount? Is it fair for a pastor or a preacher, right, to get your tithe direct deposit? Should you pay tithes on your income taxes, right? Because if you're paying your tithes throughout the year, do you have to pay tithes on your income taxes? Also, with your retirement income, if you're on a fixed income, should you pay tithes? So these are some of the things that we're going to discuss, we're going to talk about. Please, 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 in the comments, let me know what you feel about paying tithes. What is your opinion about it, right? Someone just said, Alayla said, I think tithes, 10% of your income, you could pay each pay or end of the year income tax time. Okay. All right. So we got some. Alayla is 44, lives in Cleveland, and she is a female. Hey. All right. Hey.
Cleveland in the building.
Here we go. We got Cleveland in the building. So what is a tithe, right? A tithe is simply a tenth of whatever you have produced, right? In the Old Testament, it was in the Old Testament, which was a law or commandment given to the Jews. Your obligation was to bring your first fruits of your cattle, your produce, your grains, so that in the time of famine or the time of need, or for people who did not have, they would have, because you're bringing your first fruits off the top.
Mm-hmm.
This was a law or commandment given to the Jews or the Levites.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, the purpose of it was to give 10% for the land, for the temple, and the Levites. Okay. This was a commandment, and that was the expectation, right?
Correct.
So that was the purpose of tithes and offering in the beginning, right? So I just want to share with y'all a fact, right? There are no set percentages, right, in the New Testament when they talk about tithes and offerings, right? There's nothing. There's nothing after the death of Christ, right, that says that you should pay tithes, 10% of a tithe or offering. Right? It doesn't say that. That's a fact. And even though Jesus talked about money in the Bible, he never talked directly about the subject of tithing, right? So people say, I think we should pay tithes, whether it's money or time. Okay. So, all right. So that is that part for y'all, right? Okay. So in the New Testament, right, they talk about tithes, paying tithes, right? One of the things they say, it states in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 9:7, each one of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give. Okay. Right. And it also speaks of being a cheerful giver and not giving begrudgingly. Right. Like that means, like, if you're going to give five, or if you want to give $1 happily, he would rather give $1 happily than give $10 with a sadness, or with the attitude, or you don't feel happy about it, right? So I'm just giving these facts about tithes because there's been a lot of things. Now, also, it states in Corinthians, right, that you should not give under compulsion. That means guilt, fear, shame, or be pressured or mandated, right? Because it's supposed to be out of the kindness of your heart. And you're supposed to give what you can give, but you should give something. But there is no mandate stating in the Bible that you have to give a percentage, right? Or 10%. Now, I just put that out there because I wanted to put that out there for all the people that, want to refer back to the Bible, right? And so I just want to give a little background of tithes and offering. Tithes, not so much offering, but tithes, right?
So let me also add this. Like, I know I can't quote the Bible like some people can, but I also remember him saying to put stuff in the storehouse. So a time of trouble and famine, like you said. So I guess that's kind of like right now we have like my church has a pantry where we put like different like
things that
donuts,
need.
donuts, clothes. They have certain days that you can come there and get things out of the pantry. So I think that's kind of good because there's a lot of people are out without a lot of things, and we just don't realize how bad it is out here. I'm just very fortunate that I have a support system in my family that we help each other.
So I just want to say, when you look at it from a biblical perspective, right, the point of tithes, or giving your first fruits, or the first 10% of whatever the whole purpose was so that when things are bad or in the time of famine, that you would have the opportunity and you would be able to go back, like you said, or people who had less than would be able to go to the temple or go to the church and be able to get what they needed from it, right?
Yes.
And we do see culturally people that use that and where it's beneficial. But one of the hard conversations is, and I want you to put it in the chat if you agree, do you think that the majority of churches are doing the right thing with the tithes and offerings? And one of the things that I've heard people, when we've had this conversation, that people complain about is they talk about when COVID hit, it really put an emphasis on, is the church using tithes in its proper context?
Mm-hmm.
Is the church using their tithes in proper context, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, someone said, I pay tithes with my retirement savings and my disability both times when I wasn't working. I don't mind paying additional offering if I can help someone. God loves a cheerful giver. I do agree.
That's nice.
Okay, it's used and abused now in these churches.
Ooh.
So
let's talk about that.
I want to talk about that because, you know, I've heard some people saying that one of the requirements for certain churches, you know, some of the mega churches, is
you want to go there?
I'm just going to make a comment because if it's truth, it's truth. If it's not, it's not. But that they are required to pay their tithes with an automatic withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is, if you are paying by automatic withdrawal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a form of being forced to pay tithes? And can you really look at the heart in this instance, right? Mm-hmm. And also, is tithes a principle that we should be paying into? Now, let's just say this. Tithes, we know the perfect purpose of tithes, right, was to have something later on to pull back on, right?
Correct.
To be able to have, like, in a time of famine, right? So now, should we require, or is it fair to say that we should require the church to then, when you're going through something financially, to be able to pull on that savings and independently operate? Now, I will say that, you know, when you look at different cultures, like the Jewish community, who definitely practice, you can see the results. A lot of their issues or problems that may come up in their community is handled directly within that community. You don't see it handled outside of their community. It's handled inside that community, you know?
Yes.
So my question is, do you feel like, and please, please, please comment in the chat, because y'all are quiet over there. Y'all like crickets. Y'all scaring me over here. Like, a lot of times what you will find is that people are not, you know, like, able to get the things that they need from the church. Mm-hmm. And is it wrong to expect someone who's on a fixed income, maybe is retired, that have paid tithes their whole entire lives, to then pay 10% of what they have given and already paid on? Is it fair for that to be taxed as well? You know, I mean, that's just my question, because I feel like a lot of times, you know, we expect I have seen where a person may be living off of $3,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
And that's high, because the average person for Social Security is probably getting around $1,800. It's really not a lot. And I can say that. I mean, some people are getting more, but a lot of people it's a lot of people, a large demographic of people who are getting way less than that, you know? And like what I see, even in my, you know, employment, people are getting between $1,800 to $2,000 on the high end, $3,000, right? And then they're paying $300 off of that in tithes, right? Then they're giving $20, $30, $40 a week. And I'm not saying that they're not blessed behind it or they're not financially successful, but is that fair? Or is it an obligation? Or if Christ died and he was the ultimate sacrifice, I'm just saying, if Christ died and he was the ultimate sacrifice, If Christ died and he's the ultimate sacrifice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it more of an offering that we're giving? Because if he's the ultimate sacrifice, then and those old things have passed away, right? Should we just give an offering out of our heart and what we really want to do? You know, like, or what we really can do?
Yeah, but but there's I know some churches. I don't. I mean, it was at one time they gave out like they passed the the pan. What do they call that back then? The
the offering plate, the
yeah,
collection plate.
Yeah, the collection plate like 3 times. So I was like, wow, this is when I was a younger kid, but I think they cut it down maybe 2. They got that building fund. Now they got the regular tithes. They got the benevolent fund. So, I mean, I don't know, like, how many times should a plate be passed now? I mean, like,
So
3
I know
times.
a lot of people who feel like, so Jesse says you should not be forced to pay. So my thing is, if
what's up, Jess? How you doing, my man?
hey, we got a man in the chat. So so if you want to hit the link at the top, and I'm gonna let's see if I can pin it. If you would like to come on, give your opinion, I'm going to put the link in the chat so that you can come on. You can just come on via audio, and you can call in. And we can just turn on your audio. You don't have to have your camera on, but just allow your mic to pick up. But yeah, so I know that a lot of times, it's a lot of people who are struggling, and because of their faith and their love of God, and even their trust, right? They're getting up in lines and giving what they don't really actually have, and think that they are obligated to pay 10%. But after the New Testament and Jesus Christ, there's not a need for 10%, but it's what you may say, you know what, I'm in a financial situation where I can give 20 or 30%, and you want to do that, and so you do it. So I'm not saying, but I just think that
there's no need to put a number on.
There's no need to put a number on what you're giving. Okay, we got somebody.
Oh, what's up, Phil?
Hey, so we got somebody in.
Hey,
so
you got my link, Phil?
I'm going to send someone in the chat. Okay. I hope you can hear us. Hi,
hey,
Phil.
Can you hear us, Phil?
He has to talk.
I did.
Can you hear us?
There's a delay.
We can't
Wait
hear.
a minute. Let's see something.
There's a delay.
Wait 1 second. If you guys can hear Phil out there, let us know. So say something, Phil. Oh, we got some people in the chat that want to come on. Oh, okay. So hold on 1 minute. We got to see what's going on with this.
I'll say something.
Go ahead and make your comment. I want to see if you can hear.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on 1 second. Give us a quick little sec.
There's like a 20-second delay.
1 second, Phil.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Phil.
Hold on. That's fine.
Okay. I'll make my comment.
Can you hear us? No, that's not it.
I can hear you. This is my comment.
Give us 1 second.
Tithes are the greatest con ever perpetrated upon Black folks.
That's crazy.
I don't know why we can't hear you. That's really strange.
You want to put your headset on so you can listen to him?
I can hear you through my. Where's my headset? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put on my headset so I can hear you.
There you go.
All righty.
And just respond that way. Thanks for your patience, Phil.
Thanks for your patience.
Sure.
We appreciate you. All right.
Can you hear him?
Did you allow mic access?
I did. Can you hear me?
That's crazy.
So, Phil, I'm going to put you in. I'm going to give me 1 second, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
okay, we
Now
can hear you now. Good to go.
we got access.
Hello, we got access.
Thanks, Phil.
Yes, thank you for your patience. Okay,
Here we go.
We can hear you. You can talk.
Okay, so there's still a trailing echo. That's okay. I'm just gonna
That's
make my.
because you might want to, wherever you're watching us from, you might want to mute it. Like if you're watching us from somewhere else, like on another TV or another device.
Yep.
Or on YouTube.
Just put it on mute. That's all.
Don't put your phone on mute. I'm here. Go ahead. Just talk.
Go ahead, Phil.
Okay. If you think about what is happening, this is a generational transfer of wealth that happens every Sunday.
Okay. Don't listen to yourself. Just talk. You're in real time.
Okay, so the pastor is asking you to take 10% of your pre-tax earnings and contribute it to the well-being of the church. That's ludicrous. What he should be asking you is to say, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and whatever's left over, take 10% of that and contribute that to the church.
So
my problem with tithing is that it does not take into consideration the fact that we have the poorest group of people giving the most amount, which only puts them further back in this economy. It's an abomination. When are we going to wake up and recognize that tithing does not apply to folks who are going through it? But more importantly, I'll understand better tithing when the pastor shows his W-2 at the end of the year and says, this is how much I tithe. So how come we don't see the pastor tithing his 10% or her 10%? So I got issues with it. I think it's the greatest con ever perpetrated upon Black folks. We got to stop it. Put that 10% in a bank. Put that 10% in a savings bond. Take that 10%, put it in your child's educational fund. But putting it into the pastor's pocket, I ain't feeling that. That's just what I got to say. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for
Phil.
coming on.
Thanks,
so I do want to ask you a question though. So do you think that it will be? Oh, wait. So I do want to ask you a question. Do you think that he hung up? Okay, I guess he didn't want to answer. All right, so I'm going to ask lovely Debbie to the stage.
Hey, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. How are you?
Hey, y'all. Enjoy the show.
Thank you for always.
So let's get into it. I always give it up to higher power. I am a preacher's kid, born, raised, Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. Let's get into it. Okay. First thing foremost, growing up in church, that was always the teachers always said 10% of your earnings. The way it was broke down when I was raised up, you was given 10% of everything. Now, I remember my father was a minister coming up in church, and one time he had got his income tax check, and it was 6 of us in the household. And then the pastor told everybody, get in line, and I want you to pull out your funds, and you take 10% of that and you give it to God. And my father was looking like, huh? So now everybody in church looking at my father like he don't believe in God, and then the pastor like, you don't believe in the teachers. And then my father stepped out the line, and then the elder went back there and prayed with him and saying that you got to give it to God. You got to trust in God. My father then put all his money into in the offering plate, but the elder ended up giving it back. Right? Okay. He said that was a test. Through all my teachings at 51 and being a minister in the church, I'm not so heavily bound. You know what I'm saying? That I'm no earthly good. I don't walk on waters. We don't part Red Seas. I do not believe in the origins of what tithing is represented now. It has turned into a business. What that man just said when he got off is very prevalent in the church. Because where is the money going and how is it reaching back to the people? When I was at my brother's church, and I'm not going to give out no names here, we're going to keep it anonymous. I'm just saying, at the time I was in between jobs. I asked him, so if somebody give me $5 just helping me out, do you want me to tithe that? Well, you're supposed to give 10 cents out of $1. Now we just getting ridiculous. So why would I give 50 cents? You understand what I'm saying? Why am I tithing when I don't have the money to even put in the offering plate? We're moving beyond what are the original teachings of God. People like to not agree. I tend to lean more with zakat under the Islamic religion. If you have it, you give it. Where those that have more will give to those that have less. It's like a once a year thing where they all come together. But every day you're giving. If you're receiving, you're paying it forward. It should not be just when I come to your church on Sunday. Everybody reading that Bible ain't got the word. Everybody professing and confessing. There's no trickle down factor. The pastor coming in dressed up in all the best suits and the best car, and the members Uber in the church. Where's the church bus? The church building fund. Every fund you could think of was always in church when I was raised up. And that continuation and that man saying, how is that helping our kids? How is that paying our bills? How is that helping us to invest in ourselves? The church has turned into a business. It is not the business of God. In the Bible, Jesus went into the church, and the Pharisees and the scribes, they was in there making it all about that money. He threw up all them tables in there because it wasn't about God. And when they do, and if they don't get back into the business of God, you're going to see more and more exposed in 2024 from all this business of church. That's what I had to say about that.
So let me ask you a question. Do you feel like if you are a person, because you said you was raised in a church and they paid tithes there, do you feel that if your family, or even in your situation when you said you were at a church and you were a member and you paid your tithes, and then you were in a situation where you were in between jobs, do you feel like you have because you were a tithe paying member previously, do you feel like you could have came to the leaders of your church and asked them to then say, hey, I am in a financial struggle, I need help? Do you feel like they would help you, or that was a safe place where you could go and receive help?
I will say at that time, only because that was my blood biological brother, I didn't go to the church. I just went to him and just paid him back as his sister. But I always knew in my gut, if it was a church thing, it didn't trickle down to the members. I'm telling you what I saw, what I witnessed, the behind the scene, being raised up in it. The trickle down effect does not come down to the member who don't have. If the first lady dressed up from head to toe, why do you got members coming in here looking transient? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's turned into a fashion show. It's moved beyond the business of God. There's no going in the highway and the hedges and talking to the people in the neighborhoods. Back in the day, we used to go witnessing, knocking on doors. Once COVID hit, let's say the churches went to Facebook. It's all about the money. Money, money, money. The last church I was at, and that's that family member, it was the tithes, the offering, the pastor and wife anniversary. And I ain't talking about no little bit of money. I'm talking about $500 and more per family. These people don't get that in a monthly check. Then we got Bible study. Here come the offering plate. Then we got the Sunday service. Here come the offering plate. They pass that offering plate around so much.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it, the majority of the services have moved to when they gonna get the money, how they gonna get the money, and let's not get into the titles. If you hold a title in the church, the deacons, the ministers, the elders, the mothers, you got to pay on that too. Do you understand
all
what
those
I'm
different
saying?
boards, you mean? Like
All
the
those
board, the
motherboards,
deacon
even in
board.
your individual position, you still got to pay on all of that. So it's all about how much money do you have. If you got the most money, get into it. Let's get into it, y'all. If you got a lot of money in church, you are closer to the pulpit. The pews got financial status on them. So those who are the more affluent are more closer to the front of the church. The less money you have, you more towards the back. Come on now. Come on now. Parking spaces.
Wow.
Those parking spaces for those who got the affluent looking cars, they closer to where the past and wife is. And those that don't, you further away. Don't put your Hyundai up there by that Benz. See how they look at. That's the past the parking space. Why they gotta have a parking space if we all coming into the church of God? And if everybody equally are tithing, how come we're not equally treated the same in the church?
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
all about a business. I'm not going to say all these churches doing it. I've seen churches in my area on Thanksgiving, just a whole street. And this church took donations only and was giving out Thanksgiving turkeys. There it was cars around the block giving out Thanksgiving turkeys, giving out books, giving out prayers. They didn't know nobody in the community. That's what I'm talking about with church and community. You're just giving, not to receive. And if they did have any type of offering, it was whatever you put in a donation. It's whatever you wanted to donate. If you wanted to donate, they was working on community, love, giving
Community
back.
based. It's called community based churches back in the
You see
day.
what I'm saying? You see, that's what I like. But I'm coming from strict religion. I put God first. I don't belong to this religion now. Because when you break down the meaning biblically of what the Bible says, you're going to see the difference. The interpretation of the scripture is based differently on everybody's perception. And most pastors and some pastors going to bend it to their will. If 10 people read Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, you're going to have 10 different interpretations.
Yes. Yes.
You see what I'm saying? The words have I hidden in my heart. We have to pray that God give us the knowledge to see through, not be pulled in the pit, but to appoint people in the pulpit that are doing the business of God, including the tithes and offering. So when that mother come into church, if she got, I'm just saying these instances, if she got an older and her children don't, do you understand what I'm saying? They going through some time. They probably ain't got no hot water.
Gotcha.
Where is the money for the family?
Well, let me just say this though. Like, at what point do we
hold the church accountable?
That, but at the same time, like, somebody do come in and ask for help. I mean, how many times are they allowed to ask for help? Like, we do help them. Let's say we help somebody with their electric bill. We let them know, hey, this is a one-time thing. We're going to help you with this, and then it gets out and say, well, you help Sister Johnson out. Can I get some help? I mean, how far do we go with that?
Well, the one thing that I was trying to encourage my brother to do, when people come from help, it's more than just church. There's resources out here in Cuyahoga County that you can link these folks up to, that they can stay engaged with, that will help them, not just from the church. Right. So there's programs that help you get your license. They got a voucher for that. If you ain't got money for birth certificate, they got heat for utilities. You got to have somebody in the church that's resourceful, not just in the church, but also out in the community. That's the linkage there, your resource person. I encourage my brother to get a resource book. So when someone comes in with a need, all they got to do is flip through the pages and boom, 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 boom. Connect them with 211, 411. You understand what I'm saying? All of that helps them And then be mindful. You know what's coming in there. We ain't, come on, most people in the church, we ain't slow. We ain't new to this. We still people. We out here working like regular jobs or self-independent contractor. You know somebody coming in there and they trying to run game.
Mhm.
So
Come
do
on,
you think,
a lot of the pastors used to be pimps. No, I'm just joking.
All right,
do
now.
you think that people should be like, we should hold pastors in our leadership, and like the government, the people, that we should be holding churches accountable? Because it seems like when I have these discussions and we have these talks, I hear a lot of people say that they feel like there's no accountability to different pastors and preachers and things like that. Do you feel like we should be holding them accountable, and, like someone said previously, making them show their statements to the church so we know where their money is going, making sure that they're also required to pay their tithes, and that if they're getting a salary, that there's some type of checks and balances in place when it comes to the financial resources of the church, so there is a way for the members to have a storehouse in the case of famine. Because it seems like the mentality is that it's for the tithe and the offering is now there's no accountability, and it's being given directly to the pastor or to the church, and not really given to the people, which is for.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, where's your W-2? Where's your 1099? I believe the thing is too, let me tell you another example. When we give in tithes and offering, I would see the first lady and the pastor tithing, which to me was so goofy. I could give you're tithing to yourself. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, whatever money you put in there is going right to you and to the pastor. So you're giving that money right back to yourself. And they say, okay, we're giving it to God. Malachi 3:6. You know, we had to read that by heart growing up in church. I told you my father was a preacher and I was behind the scenes. That money that they're tithing, it goes into, it's supposed to go into the storehouse, you know, the storehouse. So there may be meat in my house, and prove me now herewith, said the Lord of hosts. But once you take the money out the little baskets, that money, storehouse meaning church, that's where it should be stored, like you said, bro. And it should be given out to the folks that need it. That money still is going into the pockets of the pastor and the wife and the church. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's being distributed. So, Michelle, I believe, like you said, where's the accountability? Show us where that is going. Maybe there are some churches who are doing that. I don't know where they at. Let me know. I would like to see. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing that so the members know that this is what's going on. Do you get what I'm saying? Show us your bank account. It was some churches out here. It was some churches where they was requiring folks W-2 and knowing all about your checks and your paycheck stuff. There is no way you need to know all of that when I'm coming here to serve God. We are moving beyond the business of God. We're in the business of man, and man will be held accountable for getting up here saying and doing all these things in God's name. That's my air quotes. And the people in your church are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering.
I want to go back to what you had said. I think each church should have some type of resource person, because like the city of Cleveland, the department, the county has all types of resources for their residents.
Yeah, we do.
Mhm.
And
And
they, a lot of people don't know that because they just, now that a lot of them are older, no, they need those kind of they need those type of assistance programs now. But when we were younger, we didn't need those. But now that we're older, they need to be, assisting with the light bill and gas bill, and like you said, you got PIP, you got all kind of programs,
okay.
getting roofs, getting
So
repaired.
Debbie, I want you to stay on. I'm gonna put you in the waiting room, and I want to bring on another caller. I'm gonna bring him back with you, but I'm gonna put you on you know, in the waiting room, and I want you to stay on, okay?
I'll be here.
All
Thank
right.
y'all.
Thank you so much. All right, and I'm gonna bring Jesse to the stage. Hello, Jesse.
All right, Jesse.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
just fine.
Yes. Everything is confusing with the churches because I'm gonna give you an example. It was a church I went to. My mother passed away. They came to me ready to pay for the funeral. They was prepared to do the food and everything, and we told them we had that covered. Then a lot of people in the church was abusing it. They had insurance and was going to the churches to take money. Every
Mhm.
church is not set up bad, but when people in these churches, they are allowed to confront these pastors and stuff, and they don't know that. They got places out here that you could go to turn your church in if you feel they're doing wrongdoing. Every church got a committee. Every church know what the pastor make a year. All that stuff is not private information. As long as you donate into that church, you can bring that church up on charges. You could do it. Churches don't pay taxes. Some of them get help from the government. All that stuff is not a secret. People just don't do it. They just go put their money in the pot and do whatever and go by their way. But you could confront every issue in a church or anything in a church. They don't
So
have to
what?
take.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, they don't just have to take your money like that. But they don't point them laws out. Even a pastor. Pastors don't they have to go through the congregation, but they got certain members on the group. A pastor just can't go spend money out of a church without that group approving that.
It's called a board of trustees, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know the terms, but they just can't go do that. Now some churches got a pastor where not they not gonna say fear him, but they love him and they'll vote for everything he want to do, and then everything to just be going through far as spending the money.
But what
Some
if
churches,
all the trustees is your family members or your relatives or people who are getting, you know, paid?
what you mean, far as you say, what now?
So I said, what about the people who like the pastors that may have all the trustees that's on their board is their family members?
Yeah, that go and that all right, that goes on in a lot of churches, and that's a problem. Just like they may have where they giving away some big or a car, it would be one of the pastor's closest friends winning the car. I ain't gonna mention the church. I just sit back and watch all of that go on. But basically, you just gotta make a decision and pray about it because you got some churches who will help you and some don't. Just like some pastors, they get Pastor Appreciation Day, they get money for their birthday, they get money for their wife's birthday. Years ago, you used to cook a pastor a cake or something, and y'all have a little picnic, and that's it. But now it done turned to thousands of dollars, and that's why, like a lot of guys at my, like where I used to work at my job and stuff, they don't even want to go into church because they think they be saying the church going to rob them. But it's not every church. But a lot of churches are literally taking your money and it's turned into a business. Like people should be able to go to churches and get help. Like y'all was talking about earlier, you supposed to go there and get help. But before they even issue that money, they ask you 1,000 questions and don't really want to give you no money or how you been tired and how you been doing this and that. But then a lot of them pastors taking their money, they buying suits with it, they going on trips with it and everything. But now another thing too.
So I want to say this before I forget. In the chat, if you feel like your pastor um, should be, your tithe, should your pastor ask you if you come to the church and you need a donation or money or you find yourself in a situation, should one of the questions that the pastor asks you, or should you be able to ask for money from the church if you don't pay tithes? That's what I want to know. If you're a person who don't pay tithes, but you faithfully attend the church, should you be able to ask the church for money? And should being a tithe payer be a requirement before you ask for money from a church? Jesse, what do you think?
No, it's all on a person's financial situation. Like, just say if I come to church and I'm getting a small income, I may could put $2 or $3 in there. If I'm not giving 10%, I shouldn't be punished for that. Not giving, not giving 10%. If I'm giving, you got a record. I see. Okay, Michelle come to church. Michelle get 1,000 a month. Michelle been giving me $40, $50 and coming to church, and she love the Lord. She should be able to get help. That's how I used to be back in the days. They didn't judge people, but now churches now They buying these cars, they going on all these lavish trips. But another thing too, the church sometimes vote on a salary the pastor get. And a lot of people don't know that. You got preachers now getting 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year. You got some preachers that go to work.
And
Like
you
it was
see the
one.
whole church is supposed to vote on how
No,
much?
they got the board. They got the board, and they know his salary. Like basically, it was one pastor here. I'm not gonna bring his name up. Mega pastor. They got mad at a situation he had. They investigate him. But when they investigate him, they said, no, he's getting a salary, and this is a salary that everybody agreed. But every member aren't allowed to go to the meetings. They may have meetings, but you can't put nobody out of a meeting. If you say, I want to see the financial records, as far as what my church told me, you're supposed to be able to open them at all time. Any member should be able to look at the financial records.
Absolutely.
That's true. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you. If you could just hang out in the gallery, I want someone to come on who believes that so let me ask you this. Do you believe, Jesse, that because I think that you did hit on it. I see somebody says tithes is required by God, not your pastor. So a lot of people would say that it doesn't matter where the tithes go because you're not paying it. You're paying the tithes to God. So we shouldn't be concerned with what happens with that tithes. But is that unfair? Like, so if somebody is taking the tithes and they're doing the wrong thing with the tithes, right? And you're paying your money and you're doing it to God, but you're also doing it because you want, people that are less fortunate in the church to be able to, because the purpose of tithes were to help the people who didn't have in the church, to help the church, but also help the land and for the people of the church so that in the time of famine or struggles, troubles, that
Right.
they could go and they could pull on this money. They could pull on, their tithes and their offerings. It was a storehouse. And you do see certain religions that use it in the proper context. Like when you look at the Jewish community, they have all these foundations and money allocated for their community. So much so that they're able to help other people outside of their community, right? So if you are a Jewish person and you have a problem or an issue financially, you're covered. You can go to the Jewish community, what I think is the JCC, and you can go and tell them like, hey, I'm having this problem. I'm a Jew. I'm Jewish, and it's my family, and we're a member of this synagogue. And they'll be like, you know what? We're going to pay your rent for a year. We're going to pay your utilities off. We're going to take care of that for you because they have certain things in place, institutions, money allocated so that they are making sure that it's going to the right places. Why is that not a requirement for people pay for the tithes? And Eileen, I would love for you to follow the link and come on so we can talk about it, because one of the things Eileen just said, the purpose of the tithes are for the church, but that's not biblical.
That's because you can have a church. A church can give, like I know one church standing now, they get millions of dollars a month. The church is built, the pastors say the church paid for. So the money is building up in the bank. Now, years ago, a pastor used to get paid, but the pastor used to go to the hospital, visit people. He ain't had time to work a regular job. And he actually was doing a lot of work. But now they are turning it into $1 million thing. Then you have pastors who just work part-time jobs. Tithes and offerings supposed to pay the bills in the church, keep the roof on the church, and help everybody out that's in the church. But it's not working like that no more. Things is changing. People are not getting the help that they're supposed to get. You got people in church who pay tithes and offering and still get evicted and losing their houses and stuff. But all that money they got building up in the bank, you're supposed to be helping your congregation.
And I hate to say this, but I don't want to use this word, but the devil's advocate, as far as helping people's rent. I mean, how far do you help someone with their rent?
Now, somebody who on drugs. So I ain't talking about nobody who's not going to get up and work. Somebody who having a hard time. like I'm gonna give you an example. At my mother's church, there was a lady who couldn't go to work and she was on cancer. So they got up and they helped her and they paid her bills so she could get to her chemo because she had a messed up situation.
I
You
get that.
know, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
there's always exceptions to the rules, but when you start, like I said, like when you start, like how far do you help people though? Like,
well, isn't that the purpose of it?
yeah,
If
but
it said, if the purpose of it is to bring
it is too.
your
Like
first fruit,
when you
so you're a person, you're paying into it. It's like a savings account. Like I'm a person, I have a savings account. When I get paid for my job, I pay myself first, right? And I put my money up in the savings account and I don't touch that, right? Because I pay me, right? So if I am a member of a church and I pay my tithes, right? I am paying my tithes into the storehouse. That means that I am expecting that I can come to my church if I'm in a situation where I need help. Why is that not why are we not expecting that of the church anymore? And if we're not expecting that of the church, and that was the original purpose of it, should the church then be expecting us to pay tithes, or should we all just be paying offerings and giving what you want to give, how you can give it? Because after and then my other question is, if you trust God, right? And you trust God that or Christ was the ultimate sacrifice, the sacrificial lamb, right? Then there was no need to give that type of tithe or offering. That was a commandment that was given by the Jews, right? So now you don't need to be commanded because Christ was the ultimate sacrifice, right? So now you should be able to give whatever it is that you choose or you want to give, because actually that's what 2 Corinthians, I think it's 9 verses 6, 7, and 8 basically speak on, is that you're supposed to be able to give whatever you want. It doesn't say it doesn't say a specific amount. And if Christ died, that we can do away with the law, right? Because we do it, Christ died, so you can do away with the law. If that's the case, then why are we holding people to a 10% of an offering?
and churches don't have to pay taxes on that money too.
But you gotta pay your tithe off of your taxes though.
Right, but they don't have to pay. Not just like there's churches I can't not. They got a
You gotta come
kitchen.
on and speak on it.
They got a kitchen. They're feeding people every day, and they're helping people. Like I think he was talking about resources. They pointing people out in the right direction and helping people. St. Augustine, it's a Catholic church, but they got a kitchen open every day and people be donating. Now, when I see something like that and you feeding people every day, you helping people every day, I don't have nothing to say. But when I see like this pastor on TV talk about he need $2,000 suits because he sweated a lot, he brought a big compound saying he doing marriage retreats there. Ain't nobody been there. That's a problem with me. But
So
if you
let me
happen
ask
to,
you this question. Okay, I'm not gonna say any names, but if you're a pastor and you own a church, or you own a helicopter or something along those lines, right?
right.
Shouldn't the congregation also, like if you have a congregation member that need to go see their ill mother and another
Exactly.
isn't
That should be for everybody.
everybody, right? Because if everybody put in on, I mean, like, I don't know, Julius, if me and you put in on a car, right? I should drive the car, you should drive the car. We all should. Whoever put in on it should be able to drive it.
And even though like some churches did, when they buy the car though, they'll say they buying it for the pastor, but it's really when the pastor leave, they supposed to some of that stuff they supposed to leave behind when it's brought with the church's money. Like when the church buy them a car, they're not even supposed to take that car with them. They got to turn it in.
And I ain't never heard of that either.
Yeah, because I know this for a fact. Because I had a pastor had a situation, and he thought he was about to leave the church. And he didn't even want them to get him a car, but they leased him a car, and they told him he was going to have to turn everything in when he leave. Now, what he brought out of his personal paycheck, that's his. But anything that came out the church and stayed belongs to the church. for the next pastor.
So I want to read this comment. Someone said, because I would love for you to come on, Layla. But it says, when I lost my job and I couldn't get a check, whether I was waiting for unemployment or whatnot, I asked my pastor to help with my car note. They gave me $500, but they did tell me that was a one time, and when I worked, I gave thousands. So I was in a smaller church, and most people don't always have tithes. If everyone gave what they can, more people would be able to be helped in their time if needed. So I get it. And my church let me know that those tithes was being paid for. They actually listed bills and what members paid and what she says, and hold on, and what members paid and showed, and it cut off. I don't know what else it says after that. That's deep. I mean, is that wrong to say, like, hey, you gave, we gonna give you this $500 to pay your car note this one time. I know you've been here for 10 years and you done paid $10,000 every year that you've been here. And I know
If,
you only make $30,000 a year.
no, you shouldn't
So
monitor it out. Not,
I'm giving you this $500. Now I don't want to hear nothing about it.
no, you shouldn't. And if they got a budget, they shouldn't go broke. They need to work within their budget and what they could give out.
No. Should the person that borrowed the 500 are they supposed to pay that back?
No.
No.
When they give it to you, they give it to you.
No, they give it to you.
You don't got to pay that back. But when you got, just say if I got a church, I got a bank account of $100,000 in a bank account, and you got a certain amount, you got to issue out for hardship. You can't go through that money. But if the church is legitimately giving out money, I can understand them putting stipulations on the money. Because you can only give us so much, and then because you've been took all of that money out that account. So even just say if a person come get $300 or $400, you got to realize there are hundreds of other members, and depending on what the church is. So you can't just give it all to that one person and go broke. That I understand that part.
So okay. So let me I want to bring Debbie back in because someone in the chat made a comment and I want to talk about this. Debbie, are you there?
Are you there, Debbie?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to talk someone, Eileen in our chat, she made this comment and I wanted us to talk on it. I want both of y'all opinion. And she stated, we were always taught that being poor meant you were closer to God. And I have heard that term being used before previously, but then when you look at the churches now and you see the pastors, they in luxury suits and, cars and all this kind of stuff. What are your comments about, being poor, being closer to God?
Wow. I've always been taught, and what I teach my kids, I don't believe God for higher power sees a spirit, a dollar amount, and what's in the heart comes out of the heart, regardless of your status financially. If you're paying it forward, I believe that's what God blesses. You give unto others if you will have them or want them to give unto you. Whether you're a billionaire or whether you're the lowliest and don't have, it's not always monetary either. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It may be a hug, it may be a smile, it may be an encouraging word.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't believe that your financial status brings you any closer. It's all about your worth. You could be a poor person out here and you could be a murderer. That is not going to make you closer to God. You could be a billionaire and you could be a murderer. That's not going to make, it's all about your works. We are held accountable to how we treat people and how we in turn want to be treated. That's just my personal opinion. If she comes on, she may be able to expound on where she's going with that, but just that statement alone, I don't believe your poverty level makes you a saint or your richest makes you the worst person in the world. It's all about your heart. And what are your actions? What is your role? What are you doing to help people? How are you paying it forward? Your works will be what God looks at, me personally, not your status of being poor or your status of being rich.
Yeah, I agree. Jesse hung up because I wanted to know his opinion as well, but he hung up. So Jesse, if you can call, come back in the chat. We weren't done with you just yet, but if if you want, I don't know if you had to go. I think that one of the things that I would say is the way that I look at it, right? Is that I feel like whatever it is that you decide to give and whatever you decide to do, it should be because that's what you want to do. And it should be out of a place of this is what you feel led in your heart to do or to give. I was raised and told, and I'm just, this is not a biblical principle, but I was told never give more than you can afford to give without needing it back. So Debbie, if I gave you, if I couldn't afford to give you $500 and I can only afford to give you $250, then that's what I should give you. Mm-hmm. And I should do that with expecting nothing in return, right? And I think that a lot of times what happens is that we give out of a place of
obligation,
out of obligation,
popularity in the church. I mean, I just want folks to get real.
Or just pulling on your emotional heartstrings because
that's it. Come through. Then you feeling guilty like you haven't done your part. Now everybody looking at you. I don't have the money to give the pastor $500 from the Washington family. So do that mean I'm less of a member because the Williams had $500 and then they get their name announced, but I didn't put in work in here. I done came and cleaned the church up. I done came and helped with making Sunday dinners and all of that. So why do they only get the call out? It turned into a popularity contest. I mean, let's get into it, folks. Let's just be real. We know what it is. We speak on it. We go into these organized religions and everybody, a lot of these churches, you can see the books, but Pentecostal, the way I was raised, that's not the way it was set up. There wasn't no board of people and they opened up the church books. That wasn't how it was. Not in Church of God in Christ. That's not how it was. So that part I'm not familiar with. And I'm glad some churches do that, but that wasn't what went on when I was raised in Pentecostal. And even now visiting Pentecostal church, they not about to let a member that don't have a title or you ain't part of the financial board come and see what the church books do. Now, if he got that information where you can go in and put in complaints, that's a good resource. But the reality is most members of the church don't even have any type of intuition that even goes on because they're putting their faith in the pastor and the wife until they get jilted, until they get sidebarred, until they get kimberelled. Don't join in on my praise song. That's just for me. Come on now. We got to be real about what's going on when people get so heavily bound. They're no earthly good. It's going to be a lot of exposures, especially with this money, especially with these finances. TDJ tied to P. Diddy. Let's come on. We got to tell the truth out here. Shame the devil. Those that tell the truth, you will stand alone. But when you know about it and you grow, you change the narrative and change the story. All churches aren't going on a take me to the king route. There are some that do believe in standing and doing what's right. And I'm giving a shout out to them. There are a lot of community churches that really do give to the community. But there are a lot, the majority, that do not. You got to look your Sunday best. Watch what happened on Easter Sunday. Spick and span. Let that offering plate go around everybody in here. Now, how come the pastor and wife look more spiffier than the rest of the men? Jesus was homely. All this stuff didn't exist in those Mosaic times. It wasn't all this fancy church building and all these pews and stuff. He walked amongst the people. We got to get back to the old landmark, and we're going to be held accountable for it. and all this. It wasn't no, it's just a mess. It's a lot of it. I say God don't bless mess. And when it's chaos in the business of ministry and of spirituality, you're going to see a revolving door in the church. People coming in and people going right back out. Because the lady did the song, Take Me to the King. I don't have much to bring. Truth is, I'm tired. People been hurt by the church. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
People are hurt by the church. I don't have money for that. Come as you are, but you can't stay as you are. What are we talking about? God is the one that do the judging, not man.
So let me ask you a question, Jesse. The comment before you, people do give money out of emotion. So let me ask
Hey, Peaches.
Hey, Peaches. So I just got a quick question for you, Jesse. Someone said, and I wanted to get your opinion on the comment. They said that basically the poor are closer to God. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that means.
Or
I
being
think
taught
that.
that being poor meant you was closer to God.
I think that means far as if just say if I got a welfare check or get assistance or whatever, and I'm getting $100 a month, and out of my $100, I gave $20, but another rich person maybe gave $300. That no matter what, even though I didn't give a lot, I'm still closer to God. I don't think it's a single. I just don't think it's singling out that, okay, all poor people is closer to God, because somebody can have a master's degree, be making over 100-some thousand a year, and love God the same way as a poor person love God. I think they're just talking about far as the poor person giving his $20 out of his 100, he's going to get blessed just like that rich person giving 10% of their income. That's what I think it means. I don't think a poor person going to get more blessings than a rich person. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so Eileen stated, one day I was getting ready to go to church and I heard give $2. When I got to church, the prophet said, bring a $2 offering up front. I ran up there and that week my mother had $150,000 released to her from the government. I got $10,000 in the van that same week. So I sow seeds according to how the Holy Spirit leads me. I'm not giving money from an emotional place or out of guilt.
Right, that's good.
Okay.
Well, that's a blessing for her. To God be the glory. But the reality is that does not hit everybody the same. And all churches do not possess the goodness of God. And we just have to be realistic out here. We all got individual testimonies about how God has blessed us. I could go all day talking about the goodness and the blessings of God. That doesn't change the reality that the church, a lot of these churches are taking advantage of the people. It just is what it is.
When you say taking advantage of the people, are you saying they're not giving back to the people, or they're taking their money and just do whatever with their money?
All of the above.
Oh,
everything you just said. And I'm not coming from I'm telling you, just this is me. I was raised up, and I'm being serious. The Southern Headquarters District. Part of the district choir. We was raised up in the YPWW, the Sunday school. I'm talking about from a child. I am 51 years old, and my father being PK, and he was on all those auxiliaries, and I was the nurse for the district and superintendent. I'm telling you what I've seen, what I know from my experience, the behind the scene and what folks appear to see, that mirage when you in the desert, and it's like, oh, I see the water flowing. But when you get back there and it's a drought, there's people that are trying to do good. And everybody that's in the church is not on that, oh, I'm doing bad. But if the leaders are not doing what thus says the Lord, it's going to trickle down like rain to the congregation. Everybody can't be in the church all shouting and saying, we got an individual praise. So everybody's shouting like the pastor and the wife. Come on, we got to come out that cult mentality and make it about God. If we're going to get into the scriptures, because those people that were given back, And out there, the disciples, and when they were walking amongst and spreading the word of God, we don't have that like we did back in the day. It's not the same. It's computerized, it's watered down. The highway and hedges is not met the same. There are some churches that give back, but the majority of these churches, you go in there and you look from the front to the back and watch how they seated on Easter Sunday. Those with the most gonna be up close. Those with the least is close to the pews, all the way to the back of the church in the lower seat. I'm just saying, God watch and see everything. You got to open your eyes, folks. You got to open your eyes. And how does it change? How do we make a difference about that? We pray. We had this podcast. We open up people's eyes. We're not asking them to change their opinion, nor are we doubting their God or what their beliefs are. We're saying, open your eyes. It's a bigger picture out here. And it's going down in 2024.
I know, right?
Exposure at a high. It's going to be more to come.
So what do you
It's
think
more to
about?
come.
I know. I feel you on that. I do. I feel you on that. 24 is gonna be a rough year for everybody.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes.
It's gonna be it might be a rough year for the people who ain't right.
Oh, come on now. Don't
Okay.
start church up in here. Bring that word. Come on.
Right. It might be a rough year for the people who ain't.
And then think about church is nothing but a body of baptized believers. If 2 or 3 are gathered in the midst, then we giving a word. What you guys are doing right now is opening a platform and giving a word and letting it be known that people can speak their piece. We're not knocking no one's opinion, and we appreciate what you guys bring together. You two are my Gina and Martin. Enjoy it. This is my church.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.
I definitely appreciate you coming on.
We do too.
I
I
know
do
that's
too.
right. Eileen said this is her year of Jubilee.
Oh, okay.
What I will say is when you look at what's happening right now in society and the country, it seems like people who have been getting away with doing wrong for a long time are being exposed. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that it's a lot of things being exposed right now.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not right. And I think that it's time that we speak up on different things and we let our voices be heard. So this is just our platform of talking and expressing ourselves, but we definitely love when y'all come on and y'all express yourselves. Like this has been a great conversation.
They say teach one, what they say?
Each one teach one.
That's right.
I learned just as much as I learn from you guys speaking, then you may learn from me, but we all learning from one another,
Amen.
And so it's really, really delightful to have people call in, share their testimonies. Thank you, Eileen. Share their opinions and their thoughts and their ideologies. Thank you so much. What was your one friend's name? The male Phil, I think his name was,
Phil,
came on and gave. We all will not always have the same opinion. A lot of people, may not be a Christian, or they may be a Muslim, or they may be or not even, or just spiritual,
right? Mm-hmm.
But I would say that
I think I'm a spiritual person. You know what I'm saying? I may not do right all the time, but I know where my blessings come from.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I know that's right. And so it's like we all, have different beliefs and thoughts, but I do feel like this is a subject that really needed to be talked about. And I'm glad that we actually talked about it, because I just like my personal thing, for me, my personal thing that is an issue for me is I just feel like we should not take advantage. Like it's a travesty when people who are put in place to help take advantage of people's hearts and
their money,
Right.
just their good hearts. You know, when you take advantage of a person's good heart and their good nature and the fact that they want to do, and you take advantage of that, I just feel like there really is a special place for you. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
When
That's
you
right.
when you are preying upon, you know, the most vulnerable of us, you know, the elderly, the less fortunate, the poor, there is something to be said about that. And you just really don't have peace when you do that.
That's right.
Yeah,
Fact.
very, very good. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I truly appreciate you.
Yeah.
Is there any final thoughts from you, Jesse?
No, just I don't want to discourage nobody not to go to church. Just pray and use good judgment. And then feel if you get the word from the pastor. If not, just find you a good church home or stay at home and pray. I mean, you don't have to go to church. And I don't want church people to get mad at me, but go wherever your heart take you.
Jesse said we don't have to go to church.
Yeah, they'll be turning that around. So I won't.
Right, exactly.
It's gonna be a whole what you call it, a whole meme. Jesse said you ain't gotta go to church.
Because I done did both. I done gave to even when I had my feelings about past, I done gave to the church. I gave that church money when they offered did that for my mom. I came across money. I donated money to that church because I knew they was helping. I have nothing against church. I sit in and listen to it on the phone, like I sit in a podcast. I help people too. Just do what your heart feel and treat people right. That's all you can do.
That's it.
Well, I think this was a great
It was.
conversation to have
was.
right before Good Friday.
Well, Lovely got to say. Lovely got anything?
Who? Alayla?
I
Lovely
like
Debbie.
Brother
I was
Jesse.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I love the podcast, and it's like he said, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God, putting the higher power first. I do it on my TikToks. If I have life situations, I'ma always pay it forward. CC whining, and I will sing of the goodness of God. That's what I live by. Come on now. So it's all about the goodness of God.
What's your TikTok for those who might want to hear your lovely voice?
Lovely Debbie, I owe something.
Just put it in there, right? She can type it in.
Lovely Debbie on TikTok.
Can't remember it, but the whole part of my ministry is about paying it forward, and everybody, anybody, everywhere can give it up and know that God hears all of our prayers in our lowliest of times and our highest time. Remember that God always has that footprints in the sand. You are never alone. You can always give a prayer silently, openly. God got you, and He's covering all of us. And I wish the best for all of those who need a word of prayer. And that's what I'm about. I'm not anti-church. I'm just pro-God.
Right.
I know that's right.
All right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Yes, Valerie said we are in the age of Aquarius. Yes, so for those who believe in astrology, the age of Aquarius is basically when, you know, things are being exposed and it's not right. People who are not doing right, people who are, you know, things that people were quiet about, they're now speaking up. You know, they want it to be exposed. It's a place of a humanitarian growth effort coming forth, you know, and we are in that season.
Don't you have something coming up too? You're gonna be speaking somewhere?
Oh gosh, yes. Thank you so very much. High five. This is why Hardy is my partner in crime, right?
I love it.
This is why he's my Martin, right? So let me just say I have a special event coming up. I'm going to pull it up so we can go over it and talk about it. Yes. So I have a special event coming up. It's called New Life Charities presenting Flourish. It's a youth girls empowerment series called Flourish, and it's fostering leadership, opportunities, unity, resilience, inspiration, strength, and hope. It's going to be a Tri-C. So if you like to register, it's for moms and children girls from ages 12 to 16. You will register at newlifecharities.org. And basically, what it is, it's limited availability, but it's going to be a Tri-C. I'm one of the guest speakers. We have some thank yous.
Yay! Woo! Let's go.
So we have Maisha Wilson, Dr. Lucia Johnson, Lovey Wilson, DJ Lucia, Darlene Burks, and Lakeisha Smith, and myself will all be the guest speakers for this event. Definitely is going to be a Tri-C.
What's the date on it again?
It is April 6th, so it is next Saturday, and it is starting at 10 a.m. So definitely come check me out. If you have a daughter, if you have someone who may benefit from this. No, we Pam and we more like somebody said Gina and Martin. We more like Pam and Martin, but it's like depending on the day of the show, though. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody said Pam and
the
Martin.
topics, yeah. Somebody said Gina and Martin. I said we more like Pam and Martin. I said, but I'm definitely having that event. So if you know someone who has young girls that will benefit from it, I'm going to put the website that you would have to register at in the chat. So y'all make sure that y'all go check it out. And Hardy, just mention your event coming up again.
Okay, my event again is the Sip and Paint, May 18th. It starts at 4:00 to 9:00. I'll be DJing. Also, we're going to have and we're also going to be having we're going to have a artist. I don't know what painting she's going to do, but we're going to have an artist, and then after that, we're just going to have a good time and good fellowship, and hope everyone can make it. For tickets, my phone number is 216-219-9632, and please check my girl out.
Check me out.
Check her out.
And if you look in the corner, you'll see at the corner of the screen, you'll see the Paint and Sip flyer with all the information on
next
there.
week you can put yours up there next week.
Yeah, so next week I will have mine up there so you guys can see it. Anybody that wants to register, please do. And fellowship is always pleasant.
Yes.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
This has been great.
It turned out really nice.
Yes. Thank you for Jesse and lovely Debbie for coming on.
Absolutely.
I appreciate y'all for coming on and saying y'all peace. Yes, indeed. This was a great show. And you know what? I hope that everybody has different opinions. Everybody has different ideologies. This is a safe place for people to share their thoughts, share their opinions. We don't all have to think the same to operate and communicate with each other and to coexist. I like that. We don't all have to think the same to coexist.
That's right.
So definitely thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody who watched and listened. I hope you learned something. I hope you took something from it.
Yes.
And this was great.
It was good. Good show.
It was. So until next time, we'll be on next Thursday. 8 p.m. And we don't know what the topic is. We got a lot of stuff in store, but y'all make sure that you follow me, like and subscribe. A lot of people watch, but you haven't subscribed to my YouTube. Eventually, I'm going to have all my podcasts just on YouTube, and I won't stream from Facebook anymore. But for now, I'm still streaming from Facebook. But if you are not subscribed to YouTube, please go to Juicy Talk on YouTube, because what happens is when I get the more followers I get, the more content, the more people, the better content we have, the better the staging and the sound can be. So I definitely need your support, and so I thank you for it in advance. Any closing remarks?
No, great show. Great
Great
show.
show.
Real
Great
good
show. So we're gonna talk about some great topics next week. So make sure you follow me so that you can see our notifications. Make sure that if you follow me on YouTube, you hit the notification button so that you can see our notifications. And thank you so much. We
All right.
appreciate you guys for watching.
All right.
Yes, it's been fun. But you know what? Time to run.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for watching.
Good night, everybody.